It's been great. So the Avalanches did, the year prior to this, we did God knows how many shows, maybe, I don't know, 60 shows or something like that. So this year with them in Oz was just kind of a wrap up of a very long tour. So by that time, everyone was kind of performing really well and all the bugs were ironed out. So because I'm an Ableton certified trainer, the guys asked me to get involved in building the show with them. So they're not live users necessarily, but live's pretty much the standard for everyone on stage, you know, running backing tracks, playing samples from, you know, controlling them with MIDI controllers, that kind of thing. Also, we had a really painstaking task of creating a click track for Paris, the drummer, because the way the Avalanches put together their music is cutting and pasting samples, and they don't really pay too much attention to the grid often. So they're not sitting there with a metronome going, let's get everything on the 1, 2, 3, 4. It's really, they put it together by feel, and then people like me have to come in and try and get the feel to match all of the technological stuff. I guess the Model 1 has been a big change for me. It's the first time I've ever wanted to own a DJ mixer. I've been DJing for nearly 2 decades and I've never really had a nice mixer at home. I always had a kind of just a shitty little mixer that would literally just allow me to have the records making noise, you know, nothing, I wasn't really worried about, you know, performance ideas, but I discovered the Model 1 and there's some features there that just make me want to do more stuff with DJing and really blur the lines between DJing and production and live electronic stuff and DJing. Yeah, so that's kind of, I'm using that where possible for DJing and live shows. So I did a live show at the Forum last year supporting Kolsch, and I had that as kind of the brain for my live shows. So it's got a couple of return tracks where I'd hang some reverbs and delays, and then I'd have, you know, synths like the 101 and various drum machines sort of rolling through that, and that was kind of the control room for the whole thing. Yeah, totally. The Volca Beats is, it's one of those little boxes where my wife bought that for me actually as a, you know, a birthday present or a Christmas present or something. Shout outs to the wife. And it was novel at the beginning, you know, it was just like, oh, this is a cool little box. And then, yeah, more recently, Kim and I started experimenting with it for one of our records. Actually, this record, the percussion from that is Volca Beats, believe it or not. It's been treated pretty heavily with a nice signal path as well. But what I've discovered with the Model 1 and the Volca Beats is I can send that, you know, really dirty kick drum and snare drum over to this, and with the drive circuit on this, I can really juice it up and have a lot of fun with it. So yeah, that's been a kind of something that kind of, it keeps coming back, keeps finding its way back into the arsenal. Yeah. He just, he rolled in with Michael Delaney, a dear old friend of mine who used to run honky tonks and clubs like that. And quite a few shots were involved, and I was DJing, and I think I played the Green Velvet remix of Youth in Trouble, the Presets record, which is one of my favorites. And we just, you know, kind of bonding on that, and then that turned into a long drunken conversation about music, and then that turned into sending tunes back and forth, and eventually hitting the studio. So yeah. Yeah, the last track on the album, it's called Until the Dark, and Kim and Jules sent that over to me just to get a different spin on, it was already kind of taking shape for them as a kind of a techno record, and they collaborated with a lot of producers on this last album. So they sent that one over to me and said, do whatever you want. So I did, and I was kind of shocked and super excited when they came back and went, man, this is exactly what we need. For me it was, yeah. I do all my tracking in live. So they sent me audio, they use Pro Tools in the studio. And yeah, they sent me some audio, and I tried lots of various things, lots of sampling and like really messing with what they sent me, really kind of fucking it up, and sent back a whole bunch of audio to them. So we just kind of managed it by working with audio, but yeah, I do all my stuff in live. Yeah, so Kim and I, after making a whole bunch of music and thinking, all right, what are we going to do with this? Part of the reason for us working together, I think, has been really inspired by the DIY aesthetic. Kim's on a major label, so I think there's a kind of a whole machine that works there. So for us, it was more like, how can we put our stamp on some music that we're putting out? So we ended up starting a label which is distributed by Compact for the world, and where I don't know if you can see this in the shot, but behind me on the floor is a whole bunch of records as well. So we're really DIYing it in Australia, because Compact's in Germany. It's a long way across the world. So we're shipping big quantities of our records over and hand delivering them to stores in Melbourne and Sydney.